ANARCHY Knives. Can you believe it? I finally got them. It took me quite a while to actually make up my mind and buy those kitchen knives. But I finally got them a couple days ago and I'm very excited and I'm gonna share with you my feelings about those knives. So, welcome back. And as you can see, I have this huge kitchen knife in front of me and it is beautiful. Um, you probably never heard about those, probably never seen those. Maybe you've seen a little bit of those knives on Instagram. Some people did like those photos of those knives from actually the maker, producer, designer, and chef from Sweden, Christian Campo Gianni. I hope I'm saying this right. Christian, yeah. And what he did, he designed his own series of chef's knives and steak knives. Um, he produced them with another company. I'll tell you a little bit longer story how I got to those knives. And finally, they're available for I don't know for how long, but they're not too long. They're available through his website for ordering, and I finally got them. So I got this big chef's knife, and I got two steak knives. I don't know where to start. Let's actually do the steak knives first because I think it's gonna be quick video. And if you're interested, look, I'll do additional video, longer one for the chef's knife, and I'll tell the full story how I got there. It is amazing. So anyway, let's focus on the steak knives first. I'll put this one away, and that's how they come. They come in this box. You get a note from Christian. Welcome to Anarchy family, and some design remarks, care instructions, and you should know that quite well already if you are a knife guy, what not to do with the knives. Very nice box, very simplistic packaging, actually. And what we're getting here, we're getting two really large steak knives. So actually, I'm gonna just put this in there. When I looked at those knives online, I thought they will be a little bit smaller. And when I got them, I'm like, wow, they pretty big. The way they constructed, it's single piece of metal. As you can see, it's kind of like a full tank construction through the handle, and then at the end you have this brass bolster with a skull. So here they are, two really nice skulls. So handle is micarta, blackish micarta, and the blade, as you can see, it has a serration, but this serration is like on a medium size kind of serration, not like a tiny one, which I don't like, not like a big waves like for the bread knife or some kind of special slicers. It's a medium type of serration, is the one which I personally think works quite well on the meat and even works on vegetables as well, because those like inside those between the teeth, that portion stays sharp. And of course, serration is on one side, this side is kind of flat, so you can potentially kind of like refresh this serration down the road. So it's okay. It's a good serration. And out of the marks, you just have the A anarchy symbol, kind of very similar to what you see in the box in here, on the side of a blade, on just one side. So here they are. And by the way, what I didn't mention in the beginning, like who makes them, why I got them, and where to get them. So it's a little bit longer story, and I'll tell it here as well. And I'm gotta go and repeat the story for the chef's knives video. But anyway, so story starts in Portugal. I did shop for local Portuguese traditional style knives in one place, and finally I got to the place which is called Time Out Market. And if you've been to Lisbon, it's probably one of the tourist attractions at the moment. At the moment, everybody goes there. It's highly recommended place to go. It's like a food court in essence. It used to be a market for all kinds of produce, the groceries, meats, vegetables, all the local stuff. Part of that is still open marketplace. Part of that is transformed into the food court, where you can get all kinds of traditional and modern and world food, drinks, and it's very good, relaxing place. Nice wooden tables, all the different food options around, desserts, pastéis de nata, seafood, meats, everything you can imagine from Portugal. Nice Portuguese wines, ports, madeiras. In a bar, there's a bottle shop there. Really nice place, and I've been there many times. I've been to Portugal many times. I've been to that place many times. And there's a one place, kind of if you're entering from a main street, from a railroad side, there will be one place which sells mostly like a jamon, sliced jamon and cheese and wine on the left side. On the left side, you'll see all of those big ham, jamon legs. That place actually also sells kitchen knives, very specific kitchen knives. And I did video of those kitchen knives. I noticed those knives over there. Those are the knives. I only have Santoku knife from that series, but what it is, it's a pretty well-known manufacturer from Portugal. Isel. They mostly do kitchen knives, all the kind of cutlery, a little bit of traditional knives, folding knives, and this is the series of the knives which they do. It's called Daura Gourmet. Daura is again the region, the river, northern Portugal, which produces nice wines, ports, grapes for the port. So what may attracted me is that the way this knife constructed in a modern way. So you have steel, you have grinding for the blade shape, you have a full tang going through the handle, and the handle is actually single piece micarta, really nicely contoured micarta, which looks super fresh, modern, sleek, good construction. Again, as I said, it's a single piece. So now in the modern world, it is called integral handle because it's one piece. So I noticed those knives. Next time I went to Portugal, I came with a specific specific purpose to buy one of those knives, chef's knives, or I actually ended up with buying Santoku knife because I looked up online. I looked at this manufacturer website, Isel. You can find it, isel.pt. And I noticed that they also have ANARCHY knife line. ANARCHY, it's a designer knives, and they had the big one, the chef's knife, also on their website. And I'm like, oh, okay, actually, I would want to pay more for the chef's knife, like a traditional French style, and I'll just get myself Santoku. And by the way, I noticed that they have a very similar construction, and that's where the story goes, is that those knives are produced, those ANARCHY knives are done by Isel. They are done in Portugal in the same factory, and they're very similar to the Daura line of knives. And that's what you can see. The what's the difference? On chef's knives, you have your micarta, black and brown. Actually, looks really nice. I do like how this micarta looks. It's great. On steak knives, you get exactly the same micarta, very similar style of construction, but you just getting an extra bolster, skull bolster here. And by the way, there's no marks like Iseln, steel type, nothing on designer knives here. There's like a lot of information, branding, made in Portugal, model number, high carbon, no stain steel, X50 CR MOV 15. And as you know, it's like a regular steel for cutlery knives, for European cutlery knives, nothing special about it. So I assume that it's the same steel here, and that's what it says in description. It's no stain, molybdenum, whatever steel. So I assume it's the same steel, but Anarchy websites, Christian, don't specify exactly the steel markings. But that's, since I know that it's the same factory, I hope it's the same steel. By the way, somewhere they say it's a German-produced steel from Zollingen, and then it's being imported into Portugal, and then they produce knives, and then those knives sold directly from Portugal, and you can buy them in Portugal. Those knives, actually steak knives, are only sold from Anarchy Knives website. You can't buy them in Portugal. Those are exclusive to the maker, to the designer. And let's talk a little bit more about the size comparison. Let's talk a little bit more about the pricing on those knives, and that will be it. So first of all, just to give you a price range, this knife is recommended price for this knife, MSRP, is about 50 euros. This and regular chef knives. And by the way, very important, this whole line of knives, and I think I did show it in a different video, they have a bunch of knives in the Aura line, but they don't have a lot, they don't have like a steak knife in this line. So those steak knives, I think they're very similar by the size to like a paring knives, vegetable paring knife. And by the way, let's do the measurements. Those are big. So overall, it's almost 10-inch kind of knife, 25 centimeters, and your blade comes to, like a sharpened portion, comes to 11 centimeters, which would be a little bit over 4 inches, and the overall blade with this, it's not a choil, it's just a designer thing, is 5 inches, 13 centimeters. So they're big. And what I didn't like about the Aura line of knives, and why I didn't buy a whole set, that the price range for those knives is kind of small. So you're paying like 50, around 50, 40 something for big knives, and you pay just a tiny bit less for all of those smaller knives and paring knives. So I'm like, paring knives, I kind of feel they gotta be cheap, and you should have a lot of them. So I didn't want to pay like a 30 bucks for each paring knife, and I do use few of them. So that's what I didn't like about it. That's why I didn't buy those things. Chef's knife, this one is expensive. We'll talk about it in a different video. And by the way, when I say MSRP for this knife, around 50, actual street price in Portugal would be a little bit less. So I think I ended up paying a little bit over 40 euros for this knife, not in a Timeout Market, in one of the stores in downtown Lisbon. I'll put a link in the description to that store. Very nice small cutlery shop, which has kitchen knives, which has scissors, it has traditional Portuguese knives, and so on. Very nice place, highly recommend it. I'll put a link to description to that shop where I got this knife, and I think they have kind of like a full range of those knives, but they don't have Anarchy knives in there. So let's actually talk a little bit more about, let me get rid of the knives here. Let's talk a little bit more about steak knives specifically. So those two knives, they, as I said, you can only buy them through Christian's website, for anarchyknives.com or whatever. This set of two knives in the box is 110 euros for two knives, which makes them 55 a piece. And you can get also like a 6 knife set, which would, I don't remember exactly the price for the 6 knives. I can always look it up, but then it gives you about 50 euros price per steak knife if you buy like a larger set. Is it expensive? It's a little bit expensive, right? As I said, I can get a chef's knife for this money, or I can get a steak knife for this money. But in reality, if you look at this from a variety of your steak knives point of view, and especially if you want to have yourself a really nice upscale style of steak knives, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, because most of the cheap steak knives, they of course, yeah, they're cheap, but there's nothing special about them. As soon as you want to go and have yourself a little bit fancier steak knife, you don't have much choice. It's either still kind of crappier looking steak knives, which won't bring you joy, or you quickly jumping into the really more expensive steak knives. And I'll give you a couple options which I have just to compare. So for example, those are the steak knives which I use most commonly. Those are made in Spain by Arcos. Very simple steak knives, but kind of similar modern approach, modern materials for the classic design of the Navaja knife, and I have a special video about them. And by the way, this is micarta too on the handle. It's like a blue black micarta with red liners, and as you can see with the usage, this more than a couple years of usage of this nice micarta starts to fade and they kind of gray out. That's what may happen with those knives if you don't care much about them. But anyway, micarta is great. I like micarta a lot. So those knives are around 20 bucks per piece. This one's 50. As I said, this is very cheap and simple steak knife, but just look, which I like for this knife. That's why I bought them. But as soon as you want to have yourself like a premium steak knife, so table knives, you don't have a lot of options. You may want to look up to Layol style of steak knives, and they can be non-folding steak knives in a set. You can use a folding Layol knife as a steak knife. It's really elegant. Again, similar size, as you can see, just a little bit smaller. This is the Layols can be a little bit smaller, can be a little bit bigger. This one I think is like what's called 11 centimeters version. A really nice and stylish steak knife, but as soon as they're not fake, as soon as they are made in France, in whatever region, they are closer to $100 or €100 a piece. Your next option is to have like a Japanese style steak knives from whatever manufacturers do this now, especially for American market, like Shun or something similar. Really nice steak knives, Japanese style, Damascus blade, over $100 per piece easily, especially if you buy a set. So that's what I wanted to highlight it from a price and value and coolness point of view. Those steak knives are a really good choice, really good option if you want to have an upscale steak knives. Of course, you will most likely will have some regular steak knives for everyday usage, and maybe those ones for your special occasions, why not? They're a joy just to hold. Amazing. Very good grind, very good steel, very good construction, nicely looking anarchy knives. And especially if you're like anarchy in general, like I do, you will be enjoying those knives for a long time. Anyway, highly recommend those knives. Thanks for watching, and look out for the video about the main guy in the room, which would be this big guy. Let me just arrange those before I finish the video. Take a look. They are super beautiful. One more time, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.